So if you're a fan of NOS4A2, you've probably been wondering, why didn't we get a season 3? Well, today we're breaking down exactly what happened, and trust me, it's not the answer you want to hear. But stick around because we're also going to talk about what season 3 would have looked like if it had happened. Let's dive in. The show's premise. First, let's quickly recap what NOS4A2 is all about. Created by Jamie O'Brien, the show is set in this magical world where a select few people called strong creatives have these extraordinary abilities that can literally bend space and time. Pretty cool, right? Our main character is Victoria Vic McQueen, a young artist who seems to be capable of teleportation. And she eventually comes face to face with Charlie Manx, this immortal guy who basically spells trouble everywhere he goes. In the first season, Vic battles Charlie on both a real and philosophical level. And while things seem to cool down afterward, the town is left with way more questions than answers. Season 2 follows Vic tackling the problem from the source. She's attacking the supernatural structure that gives Charlie his strength in the first place. But even then, Vic and her loved ones are still not free from danger. More obstacles are lurking at every turn. Despite its groundbreaking take on the fantasy horror genre, AMC canceled the show, and we won't be getting a third season. Why it was canceled. So what happened? Well, shortly after the season 2 finale aired, showrunner and executive producer Jamie O'Brien took to social media with some bad news. She announced that production for season 3 had been canceled. She said, "Well, friends, I heard from AMC last week. We won't be making a third season of NOS4A2. It's a bummer, but I'm grateful we were at least able to finish adapting the storyline from Joe Hill's terrific novel." She also added, "I will miss seeing everyone back in Little Rhodey this year, but I'm awfully proud of all we've done together." Right after that, AMC confirmed the show's end with an official statement. Christmasland may live forever, but NOS4A2 will come to an end with the conclusion of season 2. Viewership decline. Now, although AMC didn't give an official reason, it's pretty clear what went wrong. The show was likely canceled due to a major decline in viewership and ratings, plus the massive budget demands of the production. Here's the thing, the first season actually did pretty well. It garnered a relatively high viewership across its 10 episodes. But season 2? The numbers got roughly slashed in half. Even with the simulcast release on both AMC and BBC America, Nielsen Live 3 reported an average of only 800,000 total viewers per episode. So the series most likely didn't match the network's expectations. Budget concerns. But it's not just about the ratings. Given its supernatural premise, NOS4A2 frequently relied on groundbreaking visual effects, prosthetics, and intricate set work to create that perfect immersive experience. And over time, all of that presumably led to a huge budget. The compounding effect of those costs definitely affected production. So with all these factors, declining viewership and rising production costs, the show just became unsustainable for the network. That's what led them to make the final decision to shelve it. The book adaptation was complete. Now here's another important thing to consider. The second season actually completes its adaptation of the original book by writer Joe Hill. Though there are some marked differences between the source material and the TV show, the fact that the primary narrative is wrapped up by the season 2 finale might have played a part in the network's decision to stop production. Jamie O'Brien did express a desire to continue the story further on numerous occasions, but developing an original script likely came with its own challenges, especially for a narrative as high-octane as this. In a way, it fits that the show's journey ends at roughly the same point as the novel, and at the very least, the creators didn't leave any plot threads from the original story hanging. What season 3 would have been about? Alright, so now let's talk about what we missed out on. What would season 3 have looked like? Well, season 2 ends with a series of cliffhangers, some more subtle than others. And the most notable addition to the story, Millie Manx's seeming corruption arc. Millie Manx's story. With her father Charlie gone, who was the story's main antagonist, Millie seems to be stepping into his shoes. As the only remaining child from Christmasland who's still holding on to their supernatural edge, Millie is the perfect character study of how trauma can nestle in a person's psyche and affect every single choice they make. Bruce Wayne's perspective. Then there's Vic's son, Bruce Wayne, who provides a similar but slightly different perspective on that theme. Despite acknowledging the horrors that Charlie's inscape is capable of generating, Bruce still longs for the joys it offered. So a potential Season 3 would have continued these dual storylines and let them clash with each other. And Vic herself, who's still struggling with alcohol addiction, could have added even more drama, completing the spectrum from childhood trauma to adult consequences. Maggie's journey. Alongside Vic, Maggie also sets out on a path of self-discovery in the final moments of Season 2. Her descent via a seemingly magical elevator could have led to several new possibilities for the show. As one of the few strong creatives so far without an imagined construct as their inscape, Maggie has the most room to grow as a character. So a sequel could have followed her first steps into new realms, tracking her interactions with fellow practitioners of the craft. Charlie's possible return. And let's not forget, there's also the possibility of Charlie Manx returning to life. That could either spell yet another cycle of doom and despair, or something completely new for the immortal man and his protégés. Final thoughts. The show's bag of storytelling tricks seemed endless, but unfortunately, we might never know what twists and turns the creative team envisioned for the future. So that's the story of why NOS4A2 was canceled and what we would have gotten in Season 3. It's a real shame, but at least the show went out on its own terms, finishing the story from the book. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this, and let me know in the comments. Would you have watched a Season 3 of NOS4A2? Catch you in the next one.